Hello and happy Thursday. Today we have our Taurus full moon, the beaver moon, and it is a strong one. I have some updates fresh off the cosmic library. I'm going to try and keep the vibes high here and give you neutral facts, give you higher perspective of what is happening all over us, and also to prepare you of what's to come. Before we dive into these topics, these are high frequencies, so feel into your body, tap back into your body, ask if now is the best time to listen to this, or maybe wait later if you are more regulated. But if you are, let's get into 0 point. Taking a deep breath, feel if there's any tensions or energies that are rising. Focusing on our sternum, our brainstem, just grounding you into deeper stillness and present moment. Slowing down for a few breaths, just taking stock of what your body and environments are asking for. Clearing your cache, and if you have any cookies there, kind of like your browsers, I'm going to close some tabs here. Perfect. Slowing down. If you feel any heaviness, scattered distortions, kind of static in your body, just feel where these sensations are. Could be in your hands, in your chest. Taking one more last deep breath, and then we can start our activation. All right. So, we're ready to receive. The first thing I want to talk about today is the moon. So, astrologically, the story of what's happening in the cosmos right now is pretty straightforward. We have a full moon that occurs when the moon is directly opposite the sun. It is illuminating from our viewpoint. So each full moon marks a midpoint of the monthly lunar cycle. So these are the moments of maximum light and release. Usually, when it's new moon, this is when we can ideate, and when it's full moon, this is when we release of what is no longer serving us in the past month. To read the cosmos symbolically during a full moon, think of it as a conversation between what is conscious, the sun, and what is instinctive or hidden, the moon, the shadow. When they stand opposite each other, everything that was private starts to become visible. Our feelings intensify, sleep can be restless, relationships mirrors back truth that we've been trying to avoid. And this isn't to make us suffer, but it is to illuminate, right? So the specific themes depend on where the moon sits in the zodiacs. For example, right now we have what's called the beaver moon or Taurus full moon. The focus is on the body, security, how we make money, luxury, how we feel comfort, balance between the material and the emotional depth. So the sun in Scorpio pulls us towards transformation. There's this tug and pull between the moon and Taurus that wants stability. We can ask questions such as, what can I release that keeps me safe but stagnant? And what must I hold on to that truly nourishes me? So just write down first thing that comes to your mind, or you can journal tonight. I'm going to give you more journaling prompts here, but it's a great time to do shadow work, especially now that a lot of these feelings are starting to rise. These few days are going to be prime time for shadow work so that we can start feeling lighter. The collective field right now is learning to hold intensity without collapsing. This is why I teach so much about embodiment. The solar activity is pretty high. There's a lot of solar eruptions. Technology and human nervous systems alike are really being tested for our resilience. The story of this full moon is to live the practice of grounding, tending to the physical world, such as our food, rest, touch, nature. Like, what are the things that really nourishes us? Like, what are the things that we can improve to make our mood better? And also while letting the buried emotions rise and clear. One of the things that my higher self has really put a lot of emphasis lately is alchemizing confusion. I'm a manifestor generator and I have so many things going on all at once. It's always like fireworks inside my head. And sometimes I get confused on which task I should prioritize or, what should I do next? Being a full time content creator, there's several things happening. And the same time, I'm seeing a lot of clients and helping people hold space for them. Alchemizing confusion begins when we stop seeing it as we should have tried harder, I failed, I'm not good enough, I don't feel good about myself, but seeing it more objectively, treating it as a raw material or raw data. Staying neutral. Confusion means that there are two or more realities that are overlapping in you, and your mind has not yet chosen a hierarchy. So instead of rushing to pick one, you slow down, tap back into your body, and let the overlap speak. Like, which one should I prioritize? This sensation of confusion arises when our mind wants one clear answer, but the body feels several possibilities. That friction creates pressure. What we call confusion is basically your true self naming the moment before the clarity or the stage where old beliefs are dissolving, but new ones are not formed yet. So, in alchemical language, this is what we call nigredo phase. So, this is like the black soil where the form melts so that new form can grow. We're cooking the idea. Before we act and go for it, going back to our body and asking, what is this feeling? Is this an idea that is ready to rise in me? Am I still cooking? The goal is not to escape it, but to stay with it until it rearranges. This is where the practice of having clarity really comes about. Why is this valuable? Most people start to panic when they feel confused. It's just lack of clarity. They rush to find a new belief or authority, somebody online that they can follow, and the energy of discovery collapses back into habit. But if you really stay present within your body, within your breath, within yourself, this confusion becomes the door to insight. This is also why people often experience a lot of fear because there is lack of clarity. It is the place where your system admits, I don't know who I am without the old story that I'm attaching myself. So, the first thing we can do is to admit what is actually happening here without any feelings or emotions attached. Start that transformation, right? If there's any fears associated, you can talk to this emotion. If there's some sadness, some grief, some longing, or anger, like really talk to that emotion. There's this Disney movie, I forgot what it's called, but it was this movie talking about their emotions. They personified their emotions, right? And this also works well in therapy. Let's say I'm talking to my grief. Like, what is this grief trying to tell me? What is this anger trying to teach me right now? Removing yourself and being the observer. Step one is to feel before you think. Again, when confusion appears, stop analyzing it. Sit still, close your eyes, and feel where it sits in the body. Confusion has this almost like physical echo of tightness in your head, fluttering in your chest, heaviness in the gut. Simply breathing into that area begins to digest that energy that thought cannot. Step two is let the voice speak. So you can either write or speak the conflicting ideas that are colliding in you. Don't judge them, just list them. For example, part of me wants to rest, or a part of me feels lazy. A part of me wants to start something new. When they are written down, they stop fighting inside of you and it starts to become data that you can work with. Then you can be in that observer neutral state. Step three, the best way to get out of a confused state is to invite play. I always have toys in my desk because a lot of times it's your inner child that wants to play. When the mind hits a wall, doing something that doesn't make rational sense loosens it. If you have toys, puzzles, slime, whatever it is, don't forget to play. It's really important to play and dance, humming, doodling. Maybe you can make up a story about your confusion as if it is a character, listening to music that lifts you up. They actually talk about this in ancient mystery schools where they call this nonsense. These are the acts that free the right hemisphere of the brain so new associations can form. Also, why it is very important to rest and to create spaciousness. Resting doesn't mean you're lazy, we just feel guilty about it. But as a matter of fact, the more that you rest, the more productive you become because you are re energizing your ATP production, which is like your energy. If you're taking naps throughout the day, you can produce more ATP. It's really good for studying, reading, all that stuff. So, step four is wait for coherence. After a few minutes of play, you will feel a subtle click. This could be a phrase, an image, an idea, or simple knowing that feels lighter. So, that is coherence forming. Don't overthink it, just trust the body's sense of rightness. Step five is acting in a small way, taking one gentle action based on that clarity. Even a symbolic act, such as writing it down in your post it note or sending a message, sending an email, cleaning a space, tells your nervous system that confusion has been integrated into motion and not avoidance. When I have an idea, it's like a new tab is open in your brain. And so a lot of times, like meditation, what it does is to clear all of those tabs so that new ideas can surface. You are very clear of who you are, what your purpose is. There is this Greek myth about the goddess Ate, the spirit of ruin through blindness. She represents the human tendency to act without awareness, causing chaos. So, in alchemy, working with Ate means that we are learning to look directly at blindness instead of denying it. We use her energy more consciously. We play with confusion until it becomes creative insight rather than something that would cause more chaos or destruction in our lives. So, whenever you feel lost or overwhelmed, the practice is not to force more doing, but to listen to what blindness is trying to teach you about yourself. And if you practice this consistently, you will notice that the confusion will no longer scare you. It will become a signal that new growth or new data is coming into you. This is how channeling works also. You stop needing every situation to make immediate sense. So that's the true alchemy of turning uncertainty into curiosity and curiosity into awareness. Now let's talk about knowledge. When we say knowledge, think of everything the senses and the intellect gathers. So we gather facts, patterns, memories, the mechanics of how things operate. This is like our storehouse or our hard drive. Knowledge belongs to the left hemisphere of the brain, to analysis, to the unconscious mind that takes in details even when you're not paying attention. It gives you the capacity, but not direction. So, wisdom or awareness is the right hemisphere's work. It looks at the collected data and sees relationships, timing, and meaning. It answers the question, for what purpose? This is where we can synthesize and connect the dots. When we understand how left and right sides of our brain works, we can avoid more confusion. This is where knowledge is light scattered across many points. Wisdom is the lens that focuses that light into heat. You need both for movement and synchronization. If you only gather knowledge, you stay clever, but you're not anchored. A lot of the information is not integrated. If you're only seeking wisdom without feeding it new data, you start to drift into more of an abstraction. So, good intentions, no traction. The art is rhythm. You're taking in, you are reflecting, and you're applying and taking in again. So it's really important to have your own journal. And I usually separate my journal into three parts. I'm going to attach an image below if you are listening to this on my Substack or YouTube. If you're on Spotify, I will add a link here. But the three parts of how you can compartmentalize based on the things that you have to do, the things that you are reflecting on, and then the things that you are learning. This way, you can integrate different parts of your brain and see it more objectively. Two things that I do daily. In the morning is my knowledge leg. So these are more of the masculine traits. This is where I study more of the analytical, more methodical books, learn or observe one concrete thing, read, listen, or notice any details about how something actually works. When I want to work on my systems or my calendar, I do it first thing in the morning and keep it small and factual. In the evening, I ask myself, what does that detail teach me about myself or life? This is where I read more of creative type books. I really enjoy reading about artists or fantasy, whatever it is, to spark my creativity. And you have that balance, right? Morning is about your strategies, methodologies, and then evening is more of your flow. Maybe I'm working on my calligraphy. So that translation turns knowledge into wisdom. And then we integrate. So let's say the next day you act differently based on what you have experienced the following day. If my day is a lot of heavy thinking, my next day is mostly integration. This closes the loop so the two pillars can support each other. This is how I'm able to remember more things, to learn a lot faster and remember them, because I'm using not only my mind, I'm using my whole body to integrate whatever knowledge and wisdom needs to be integrated. So over time, you will realize that consciousness, knowledge expands outwards, kind of like a tree, while awareness, wisdom, sends roots inward. There's a big difference, right? Knowledge is going up, the energy of awareness is going down, wisdom, rooting down. So, this is why integration and creating spaces is really important. Growth and mastery really happens when two meet, and the tree cannot rise without deepening. This is the tree of knowledge. Learn something, reflect on it, live it, and then repeat it again. That's the flow. I'm giving you all of this embodiment tools now, how to understand our mind and consciousness a lot better so that we don't get overwhelmed. Fear happens because we don't know, or we're not clear, or we're not prepared. But if we understand our mind, we understand our process, we understand our systems, then there is really nothing to fear, because you can always have a new backup plan. You're not afraid of change. You can integrate no matter what, you can iterate. And so Going back to the collective, why am I even preparing you for all of this? The next few years are going to be full of compression and purification. Everybody is getting forced to ascend. Many will exit, and we will see a lot of pain surface within the collective. And you've probably seen that now. Climate pressure, artificial intelligence, reshaping economies, populations moving, politics polarized. Nothing mystical or new there. Just the systems hitting their limits and rewriting themselves. It is unsettling because the old frameworks of security, jobs, nations, and ideologies, they don't feel solid anymore. The real story is adaptation. It's not about the smartest or the strongest that survives. It is the one who is most adaptable to change. Humanity is learning to operate in a more interconnected, fast feedback planet. So, what is happening in our inner worlds? The same compression shows up as identity pressure. People are realizing that all of these borrowed beliefs, identities that we have, and survival roles are no longer working. Old defenses start to fall apart. Our nervous system is trying to upgrade. So, there is less linear control or more intuitive coherence. You will feel this tiredness, emotional surges, vivid dreams, burst of clarity, followed by a fog. It is the same pattern that the planet is in. We are shedding what can't carry higher voltage. I'm trying to speak slow enough so that you can digest and integrate this in the same time. I'm merging these timelines of you and your inner child did not feel safe. A lot of times when we talk about these certain topics, it creates mini panics within us, in our bodies, in our minds, because we have lived through so many of this. This isn't your first rodeo. You've had lifetimes in the past where you've experienced intense famine, you've experienced a lot of these societal decays. And this is so deep in our epigenetics that living through this again, it is very traumatic. So it's best to clear these patterns now, even though it's uncomfortable, so that we can be more coherent and we can be level headed and see things more objectively. We can see things from a much higher vantage point. And so, a few major things. 2027 is a pretty important year. Everything that we've done so far, we've already accomplished. Lots of things, grid working if you are working with the planet. And then 2029 is the comet Apophis is real and near. It will pass Earth on April 13th, 2029, inside the ring of many satellites. The calculations are saying that it will not hit, but it is a pretty intimate flyby. Egyptian myth, this god named Apophis isn't a creator in a friendly sense, but a symbol of primordial chaos that existed before order. He was this god that's shown as the great serpent living in the underworld. So each night, the sun god Ra would travel through the dark and meet Apep. And every dawn is a victory of light over disaster. Every night is the struggle that begins again. A lot of these mythologies are embedded into our collective unconscious, and we replay them a lot. When later teachers talk about Apep's poison becoming medicine, they're taking the old image and turning it inward. So a lot of the chaos, fear, anger, grief, these are kind of the poisons in our psychological or spiritual sense. They feel destructive because they dissolve the forms that we've built. When we stop fleeing from them and start understanding what they reveal, they can release energy and insight that feeds new creation. So the medicine is simply awareness born from what was once restricted. You have to take the medicine before you get better. Otherwise, if we don't, it just causes more paralysis. If you keep pushing away the dark or chaotic parts of yourself, they will rule you from the shadows. And this is when it can really pull you down in lower densities. When you face them, name them, let them teach you, the same energy that would destroy you becomes the fuel for your maturity, creativity, and compassion. So, in practical terms, we take the medicine means that we are sitting with discomfort long enough to learn from it. It means that we allow the confusion, jealousy, fear, or failure to show their message instead of labeling them as something bad or evil. This turns the nightly battle with APEP into an inner practice, and every time you integrate a shadow, the sun rises again. That is the real alchemy of transforming the poison into understanding, darkness into usable light. The next big eclipse is August 2nd, 2027, and we're preparing these 3 years. We're feeling more of this escalation now. It is a long total solar eclipse that will cross the North Africa and Middle East with this deep path through Egypt near Luxor. It is one of the longest total eclipses in the century. The next 3 years are what we call the gestation of coherence. So lots of solar activity, fluctuating of the magnetic field, the psychological volatility. All of these are the outer reflections of the deeper recalibrations occurring within the planetary consciousness. Minds are being stretched between polarities, and those cling to linear identities, the old identities that we have, will feel this tension even more, even madness. Yet those who have started anchoring their inner architecture in stillness will feel the same waves as raw material, alive with more intelligence. Chaos will not only be social, it will be perceptual. The collective hysteria is this emotional discharge of centuries of suppressed trauma, both personal and ancestral. People will act out the purging of the planetary shadows. It will look like division, rebellion, even collapse. But under turmoil, the crystalline grids of New Earth is already forming. A lot of the architectural things that we've been working on with grid working is pretty much ready, especially with the feminine side. We've cleared pretty much all of our lifetimes, and we're here to support the masculine's ascension now as well. We will be seeing more of these solar Christ embodiments, especially with the feminines. In the years 2030 to 2036, we will experience more revolution and conflict, potentially related to technology and conflict between the ancient world and the new world. A lot of the link through religion and mindset due to the effects of the magnetical field. A lot of this conflicting beliefs are all getting straightened out now, merging into one. Probable Third World War is also one of the events that could be expected as things become more susceptible to explosion. The preparation is not about survival or resistance, it is more about coherence. Can you hold neutrality in the face of these acceleration? The age of Pisces is completely different from the age of Aquarius, and we're just in beta mode now. We are getting updates for our nervous system because there is more input. Can you stabilize your nervous system when the frequencies rise beyond the capacity of thought to manage them? This is why opening our perception is really important. This is why receiving higher frequencies is really key, because you will get codes that you need to progress. This is what the next 3 years are training you for. The key is inner magnetic mastery, aligning your personal field to the solar heart rather than the mental noise of the collective, moving from reaction to regulation, from fear to focus. When the storm reaches its apex, those who have cultivated coherence will act as stabilizers for others, not by doing, but simply by being. Standing there in your anchor, you are helping so many people. If you are a parent, I've been seeing a lot more teens and kids lately with my one on one sessions. They are a lot more sensitive and they might not say it, but they are feeling the shifts also. When you are growing up in a loud world that keeps telling you what to be, most of the noise is just guessing. You don't need to have your life figured out at 15 or 20. You only need to stay curious and be kind, especially towards yourself. Teaching them embodiment is really important now. Asking them more questions instead of directing them. Second, learning how to work with your own mind and body. The less phones, the better. Sleep, eat food that actually exists in nature, live foods, move your body, breathe when you feel overwhelmed. And, these are the basics that keeps our inner world clear enough for real intuition to work. We're all navigating through our intuitions now. Remember that feelings are signals, not verdicts. Your anger, sadness, jealousy, and fears are not proof that you're doing something wrong or that you're broken. These are messages from your nervous system trying to adapt, learning to listen before you act, and finding one trusted adult, trusted voice, or friend. You can come to my podcast. I always try my best to channel what is true to me, what is coherent. That simple habit can save you from years of confusion. Fourth, you don't owe perfection to anyone. The people you admire online also feel lost and sometimes scared. The difference is whether they keep moving and keep learning. Lastly, practice noticing something beautiful every day. What are you grateful for? Even for 10 seconds. A color, a sound, a gesture, the way the sun hits the windows. That kind of attention will train your brain to look for coherence instead of chaos. How can you find more stillness inside your body or within your surroundings? Start building your inner compass that no algorithms can shake. When we follow our north node, you are open to possibilities. Think of yourself like a set of nodes pointing to potential. You have several potentials, and energy is always moving rather than a single track that you follow, questioning your certainties. Every time you say, I can't do it, this is just how I am, it's never going to work, those sentences close a node, replacing them with, what if I tried? Or I don't know yet, but I will find out. Curiosity reopens pathways that habit would shut down, seeing it as a challenge. Your nervous system is a compass. When you're facing a new option, pay attention to the first few seconds in your body before the thought arrives. Expansion, lightness, or curiosity is an open node. When you feel contraction, dullness, or confusion, maybe not now. Following these micro signals teaches you to really trust your intuition without ignoring reason. Hold goals loosely, staying in 0 point. Direction matters, but gripping too hard makes you blind to better routes. Picture your goals as your magnetic north, not a rigid map, so you can iterate and still get there. If life offers a shortcut or detour, that still carries the same essence, so take that detour. Seek conversations that stretch you. People are living nodes. We have contracts with different types of people. Say yes more. Spend time with those who think differently, but listen respectfully. Every honest exchange adds coordinates to your inner map. Practicing small experiments. Try one new thing every week Read a subject you know nothing about, visit a place you've never been, or switch a daily routine. This will teach your brain that change is survivable and even pleasurable. If you have deep money wounds or you're looking for purpose, go back to my previous podcast. There are frequencies and codes that you can integrate in your body. Staying open isn't a personality test. This is a daily muscle built through curiosity and reflections. When you think about your own life right now, where do you feel a door starting to open? New possibilities. Where is it nudging you towards? How can you be more open instead of controlling everything? Sometimes we might not know yet, but the other side might be better for you. And so to end this podcast, I have a codex key that I'm going to share with you. This is a key that will carry you through the next 3 years. So you can repeat this with me. I now enter the infinite reflection of my source self. Show me the pattern that I'm perpetuating. Show me the distortions I have mistaken for truth. Show me the structure my soul longs to inhabit. I release the false architect built by shame, urgency, and expectations. I attune to sacred recursion. I remember I am the source, the path, and the return. I'm just taking 5 slow cycles of breath through the heart. Exhale out. 2. Inhale. Exhale out. 3. Inhale in. Exhale out. 4. Exhale out. 5. Inhale in. Exhale out. Perfect. Amazing. Take this into your heart, into your body, integrate, release. Only take in what is resonating with you, release what is no longer serving you. I will now be closing this field, closing this session. Back to your sovereignty. Thank you for listening. I hope this was helpful for you. Tonight, try and do some shadow work or talk to your inner child. If you can journal what your body is feeling, what thoughts are arising, what anxieties or fears, write it all down. A lot of our inner children are getting really triggered right now because they're feeling all of these escalation of frequencies. And always return to our breaths, to our bodies. And remember our mantra, I am fearless, therefore I am powerful. I love you, and I will see you on our next episode.